Chicago is a beautiful city. Chicago is my city and maybe even yours too. A city with many amazing features, whether it be the Big Silver Bean, the Shedd Aquarium, Millennium Park, Wrigley Field, Navy Pier itself, or the famous Skydeck. Go to any person in Chicago, name one of those places, and I guarantee you they'll think of a time in their own life. It's truly a privilege to say that I live here. From the food to the skyscrapers resting upon Lake Michigan, it's really no surprise that Chicago inhabits millions of people all year round. But with these people comes the need for fire, EMS, and most importantly, police coverage. In recent times, there has been growing outrage among communities. To put it bluntly, there are those who do and those who do not want defunding of police across America. Join me as we take a deeper dive into this topic. But first, to understand this issue, we must first understand who is in this conflict and why. Which brings us to our first subject. This is Brent, a junior social analyst and a great friend of mine. Let's see what he has to say.
I think defunding the police could decrease the amount of injuries to people, especially innocent people, during riots or protests. So one reason why I believe that we should definitely defund the police is because the police have access to very deadly weapons such as tear gas grenades, AR-15s, blunt force weapons, and all of those things are death machines, and they're used against people, but also a good percentage of them are innocent people from riots and protests. So I definitely believe that the police need to be defunded so that they do not have access to these weapons.
Let's take a look at someone who has some hands-on police experience.
My name is Anthony, aka Matt God, and I'm an artist from Chicago, Illinois. Going to the basketball games, just living the college experience, partying, smoking, drinking weed, drinking liquor, smoking weed and shit, selling weed on campus and shit. Trying to just thought school was popularity contest, but I focus in and go and try to get a degree, man, because now I feel like I failed. So yeah, man, I did 5 years in the feds for guns and drugs down in Sandstone. Man, it was like hell on earth. It's pretty much the toughest thing I ever been through during my experience on life. Even racism there, they treat the other inmates better. Yeah, I agree 100%. So not just keep on funding them and throwing money in it, and steady problems and situation coming out of it. That money could be utilized in a different field and something more positive, productive, as schooling and something like that. It's definitely not definitely not funding something that's corrupt, because not everyone that's in in position that of power utilize their power correctly. You know what I'm saying? Some abuse their power.
And over the course of the events of March 2020, we've definitely seen that the police were not doing their job correctly, morally, or wisely. It's gonna end how it always does. People are gonna die. There's gonna always be some controversy behind who is good and who is bad, because everybody has their own different ideologies and beliefs.
Some sorts, and I feel like they don't have a good process on weeding out the good from the bad.
So clearly there are people who want to defund the police, but when talking about defunding, you need to know a little about money first. Which brings us to a financial expert. Upon request, this interview is anonymous for their own protection.
Money-wise, but if you really want a major economic impact, defund the police movement should not go after taking money away from police departments to funnel it to other projects, but rather take away the pensions. That is billions upon billions upon billions of dollars that you could beautify the entire city of Chicago in one fell swoop. Not defund them, take $100 million. $100 million, when you're talking about the city of Chicago, is a drop in the bucket. So when it comes to money, just take away something that is permanently gone. i.e. pensions. It is going to do an economic impact. You should be highly paid, or minimal pension, like the rest of the citizenry. Social Security, pay them well, take away the pensions. That's my piece.
Gotta say, interviewing that guy was intense, but let's take this down to a more personal level. This is Carol, and she has quite the story.
Yes, my children had a few run-ins with the police when they were teenagers. They were treated with respect. How one of these events played out, this was probably 40 years ago. The oldest boy had a run-in at one time, and he was speeding on a little motorcycle, and he was caught by the police officer, and he was taken into jail. And my husband wanted to bail him out, and I says, no, he did the crime, he's got to pay the time, and we left him in. And after that, he learned his lesson. So why he was running because he didn't want to get caught, because then he would be in trouble with his mother and father. So he was trying to get away, but he didn't make it, and he got caught. And he would be treated today probably, I would think, in the same way, same manner. As a whole, I think the policemen are doing fine as a whole, but there are always some that are not doing what they should be doing.
Well, here we are talking about police and police officers, but why not let them speak for themselves? This is former officer Emmanuel Colon, but you can call him Manny.
I'm 36 years old, married, father of 3. Joined the military at 19, did a couple of deployments overseas, came back home, got hired with the police department, was a police officer for 7 years, and did 7 years on midnights. I was rough, saw a lot of things, surprisingly, more so than spending 2 tours in Iraq. I felt that there was something more that I can do as a police officer, carrying a badge and trying to protect the citizens of Chicago, and I went for it. Very recently, I got called by the Chicago Fire Department, and I'm currently in the academy. As much as I can see the logic or the perceived logic behind it, I don't think that it would be a smart move. It's a tough profession. I mean, there's really no nice way to rob somebody of their liberty. There's no nice way to arrest someone if they don't want to be apprehended. And with the use of body cameras, it's becoming mainstream. People can actually see what it entails to be a police officer, and it's not pretty. It looks terrible. Now, combine that with the fact that there are bad police officers. There are people who should have never passed the criteria to become police that have snuck through the cracks, and when those individuals make mistakes and it's recorded, it looks horrifying, particularly when it's regarding taking someone's life or someone's life being severely injured. It looks terrible. And again, I see why the push for that drastic of a change came to be. I don't think that it'll have the effects that people think it would.
As far as I'm concerned, there are pros and cons to defunding the police, but what does defunding mean, and what is the ultimate result or purpose for this defunding of the police? Is it to bring the crime rate down? Is it to bring the killings down? Is it to bring police violence down? What is it?
That money could be going to efforts that are trying to keep everybody, happy, healthy, and that don't have as many consequences, such as preserving the environment, giving or providing homeless shelters, with food, clothing, and more things, more homes for people who do not have access to homes.
Mental illness should have a separate funded division by the state.
Like after school matters for the children and stuff like that. You know, get better textbooks and technology and computers and school systems and stuff like that. You know, so that way the future and the children of tomorrow could get a better chance on life. You know what I'm saying?
A perfect police department within the society. I think that the police officers that patrol any given neighborhood would know the people that live there. I think that police officers would not only be helpful to building up a community, but they'd be fully involved in that community. I also believe that the community would have a certain level of respect and admiration for the profession. So it would be a mutually beneficial relationship between the police officers and the communities they serve. I think in an ideal world, that would be what policing would look like.
In an ideal world, there would be no issues. In an ideal world, there would be no crime. But some things we really can't change. But if a change people want, then maybe we should look somewhere else. Something we can change, and that's not letting money decide how we act or treat each other. If it's change you want, start small. After all, actions create habits, and habits create a lifestyle. If it's change you want, call a friend and tell them how much they mean to you. And as always, thanks for watching.
So can I kick the camera at the last frame?
No.
Do you weigh yourself often? Do you weigh yourself on the scale often? Because I think you put on a few pounds.
That dog should be put with like a police department in like a canine unit because it's an aggressive little dog and should be defunded. When they see like 6 armored cars pull in there with full army gear coming out with machine guns, they're like, Jesus Christ, who are they after? Rambo? Or these 2 black kids on the corner over there?
Oh, I got an album out right now called Content on all streaming platforms. Got a hit song called No Recess. Mac God, MACGOD. No Recess on all streaming platforms, man. Make sure y'all stay tuned in.
Fucked and drank all night, acted all alright, had no need to fight tonight.